What do you think of Vermont? So Cenk, I don't know if you know, he's been running for president even, but he has been squeezing his TYT audience money, promising them that if he can win some delegates, and specifically in Vermont, because according to him, it's a very progressive state, if he can win some delegates by getting 15% or more, or even outright winning Vermont.
He's not going to get 15% or more. He was never going to get 15% or more. When he ran for Congress and actually had ads and shit, and he had more money than what he has now, from what I knew, he got like, what, 5%? Like, I have not been shown, and man, I don't want to be mean, but the skills you need to run for president and the skills you need to look to a camera and talk all day and yell really loud, and like, I'm not saying he doesn't have any skills. It's just, these are not the same skills. Like going out there and getting endorsements of local leaders who have reasons to endorse other candidates is not a skill that I've seen him utilize. I haven't seen him, if anything would get him 15%, it would have to be the momentum of some crisis. For example, if he became like the representative of the Palestinian cause in this election and the non-committed votes were going to him, then maybe in my mind I could come to some scenarios like, okay, I could see him getting 15% in the state, but that's not happening. There's nobody coalesced around him because no one knows if he can even be president. And I'm sympathetic to the idea that people who were born overseas but became American citizens through hard work and determination, if anything, I could make the argument that they probably deserve to be president more than some native-born citizens, because that shows they wanted to go out of their way to be part of this country, where some people kind of take it for granted. So I agree with that sentiment, but he's not going to be president. People don't think he can be president. He was never going to get 15% in Vermont.
Well, I mean, this is what he was selling to his audience for the last couple of months, going on Hassan's channel and telling people that, and Hassan treating him like a serious actor. And he actually tried to frame himself as the champion of Gaza, saying that if we get these delegates, I can negotiate with Biden and I can force peace in Gaza.
What does that even mean? With what delegates? With what? He would have like two. He would have like two, like Joe Biden would not need to ask him for a single delegate. Honestly, Joe Biden would be walking up to the stage, Cenk about to accept the nomination. Cenk goes over to shake his hand. Joe Biden just looks at him kind of weird. He's like, who is this guy? Get him away from me. I don't even know who he is. And that'd be it. That'd be the whole interaction. But if he had like two delegates.
I'll send you the video Cenk put out like 5 days ago with his plan and see what you think. But he basically was like, we can force the end of the Gaza conflict and the bombing in Gaza if I get delegates. And I can only imagine the people watching TYT who have been just watching horror video after horror video on Twitter of the conflict are emotionally invested, and they're skipping meals. They're delaying the filling of prescriptions to send Cenk that $20 they can't afford to. And here he is right now with the results. 39% of the votes in. He's at 1% of the vote.
Actually, I haven't checked the Bernie Sanders. I didn't check the Democrat Vermont thing. I didn't think it was necessary.
It's hilarious. Go look at it. He's behind an NPC nobody's ever heard of.
Oh yeah, he's behind Dean Phillips. Who's Mark Greenstein?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Who's Mark Greenstein? Dr. Mark Greenstein. He's a Who is this guy?
He's nobody. He ran for mayor of Burlington, I think. He's just some random dad running for president.
He ran for mayor and he got 18 votes. And he beat Cenk.
Right.
Okay.
And so last I heard, Cenk got $250,000 from his TYT audience for his nationwide campaign. I'm sure it's been increased by a lot more since then.
Honestly, in my opinion, I think Cenk has been the best when it comes to his campaign and advocating for the fact that people who become citizens should be able to run for president. I think, honestly.
Yeah, but that's not his.
I understand that's not his shtick. I understand that's not his shtick. But that's what I think he should have leaned into and used the resources for. I think, honestly, if his pitch to me was, hey, look, I know I can't be president, but I want to make as much noise about the fact that there's a two-tiered system when it comes to who can be president of this country. Why is it that I moved here and worked hard to become? If that was his pitch to me, I honestly probably would have given him like $5 or $10 or something. I'd even donate to him just to raise the message about that. I mean, I was from the Mike Gravel campaign, for God's sake. I can't be against pushing a message, but I mean, Cenk, why not? If the plan is, and I'm not even against the non-committed votes in the states. I'm not even against it to show some amount of like, we want you to act on an issue. But why would Cenk Uygur be the symbol to carry that message when they've already in Michigan showed that the non-committal thing at least got more noise? Nobody's talking about Cenk Uygur. If that was the point, then Cenk Uygur should have said, go vote non-committed. Go vote non-committed. Don't vote for me. Go add to that number. Or, and I said this since the start, since we don't know if he can be president or not, if the goal was to be an actual opponent of Joe Biden, to try to say we need an alternative and not to run on the idea of, hey, and not instead of what I was saying, but do that, then vote for me. Tell people to vote for Marianne Williamson. Tell them to vote for somebody who we know can be president and is already has a campaign. You can just direct your channel in that way. I don't know why Cenk had to be the political device here.
Well, he was actually mad that people were not suggesting to vote for him. He claimed the only candidate who was against the bombing in Gaza during the Michigan primary for Uncommitted. So he actually voiced complaints about that on Twitter, saying they should have voted for me, not Uncommitted. What a waste.
Man, I'd have to go read these posts yourself, because I don't want to I'm not saying you're lying, but it's kind of hard to believe someone would be that, how you say, egocentric in their campaign strategy.
I'll try to find it for you. I swear. I don't know if he said it's a waste, but he was just he was bitching that they didn't support voting for him and they encouraged people to vote Uncommitted. Here, I'm going to send you this tweet here real quickly about Cenk crying about Uncommitted. There you go.
Thank you. Let me read this. If you want to end the bombing and occupation of Gaza, there's only one candidate who's promising to cut off all funding to Israel until they do that. That's me. Voting Uncommitted is helping Joe Biden because it gets this is silly. I mean, he didn't say. I mean, he basically said it's a waste. He didn't say directly, but he's basically saying it's a waste. Doug, do you think people, if people look at the politics of the war in Gaza for 10 years from now, I could possibly see the Uncommitted thing getting a mention somewhere. Nobody's going to be talking about Cenk Uygur. The Uncommitted stuff made a bigger wave. And what's the thing that's smart about an Uncommitted vote in this way, if you were to challenge Biden, is that you can start claiming votes that are just totally not for you. Somebody can vote Uncommitted because I think Joe Biden's too old. But now you can be like, no, that person voted because of Gaza. It's politically smart in a way that I think Cenk Uygur is not taking appreciation of. It's slick. And it's actually, I think, really slick.
Well, yeah, I agree. I was saying that too. Also, they said on their website, if they get 10,000 votes, that's the margin that Trump won by in 2016 in the general election. So that will send a message. But if you look at past primaries, they knew they were going to get 20 to 30,000 Uncommitted no matter what, because that happens every time in the Michigan primaries. So they were very sneaky about the Uncommitted campaign for sure. There's always Uncommitted.
That's true. There was Uncommitted, but I think if you look at the Uncommitted in 2012, that was 10%. So there is a difference. It was a 3 or 4 or 5% difference. I think 3.
So in 2012, when Obama was running for re-election, it was 11%. And this time they got 13%.
Yeah, so there's a difference. I would also say there's a difference in turnout too, right? There was only 20,000 who voted in 2012, where it was 100,000 people who voted non-committed in 2020 to 2022.
Listen,
in this thing.
Most people think that I would be mad because I support Biden and obviously my Israel position, but I actually applaud those people for getting involved in voting and expressing their protests through voting. I bet you they got a bunch of people registered to vote. And a lot of those Uncommitted people, most of them will probably vote for Biden in the end. So I have nothing bad to say about it.
I mean, if you're doing a straight moral calculus and you've got Joe Biden on one side, which we know at least is privately scuffling with Netanyahu over things like aid transportation, stuff like that, which I could make arguments he's not doing enough. And I do believe that he hasn't leveraged enough. I think he should be at least able to privately leverage military aid or basic concessions of adherence to international law. But on the other end of the spectrum, you got the dude who's bomb their families. Bomb the families of terrorists to win war. That's how you win a war, is you kill the children, you kill everyone else. If that's his belief of how you fight war, he would, if anything, he'd look at the Israeli war plans and be like, why aren't we going further? Go further, go harder.